Hey guys, welcome back. This is the video, the second part of the video where we're going to be turning a small piece. Now this is just a small piece of stock that I had laying around, maybe 4 or 5 inches long. I didn't get an exact measurement on it. I'm just roughing it out right now. I'm actually using my old original gouges that I was using originally because I just want to get it roughed out, see how it does, and I wanted to see how my old tools worked on this lathe. And you know what, guys, so far I'm liking it. Now it does have a little bit of vibration to it right now, simply because this is out of round, and I'm running this probably on the middle speed setting right now. Probably could run it a little bit slower, maybe even 1 notch slower, but we're going to try it out. It seems to be doing pretty good right here. Like I said, I really don't like the tool rest. My old tool rest, which is right here, I would much rather use it because it's much larger. However, the shaft, sadly, is too big, but that's something that I can probably render by taking this shaft to my grinder and grinding it down just a little bit to where it will work in both pieces. So what do you say, let's get to turning and let's see how this turns out. We're just going to try something really quick, maybe not even make anything in particular, just see how it turns, maybe make a small piece and go from there. So I hope you're ready to see how this brand new lathe works out. I know I am. Oh yeah, I am loving this lathe. I was able to take out a good bit of roughness on this and bring it to round. And it's not perfectly round yet, a little bit more to do on it. My only complaint is the tool rest. It's being very short, but like I said, I can work with that. It's easy to adjust, easy to move. One thing, guys, when you adjust your tool rest and move it, always turn off the lathe first. Because you don't want to mess around and start moving it and hit the piece while it's turning. So it's a quick thing. Just reach over, flip the switch, adjust your tool rest. It's about a 5-second adjustment, and then you're right back to turning. So it's not a big deal. I will work on my old original tool rest and try to bring that to where I can use it on here as well, make it interchangeable between the two. But I am loving this. It runs very smooth. I mean, turn it on right here. You can barely hear this thing running. That is how quiet it is. I mean, other than when I'm actually turning it and I'm actually using the tool and engaging the tool, that's the only time you can hear anything. But now that I've got it rounding out, it's running very smooth. There's hardly any vibration whatsoever on this piece here. Now, I get into a longer piece, it's probably going to be a little bit more vibration if the piece is not fully round. I've got wood chips and sawdust all over me. I'm loving this lathe so far. I have no complaints other than the tool rest. Like I say, it's a very small tool rest, but that's not a game changer for me. One more thing that I don't like, let me aim the camera down here, is this right here. This is the adjustment for the tool rest up and down. That's no big deal. All I have to do is I can take this loose, pull the handle down, and make it better to where it will pull up. Because as of right now, when I tighten it, it goes up that way, but it tightens in place. You can lock this in place in either direction, left or right, which I like. And like I say, you can turn this around. Now I can probably actually, let me see here. I might actually can make some adjustments right here. Bring it in. Let's get it down in there. And no, see, I'll still have to make some adjustments before. Now I could do it like this. I could actually turn it and lock it in place like this, and it will still serve the purpose to making those adjustments. So everything works out. I'm really loving it. Same thing over here with locking down the tailstock. You can do left or right on locking it down. So I really don't have any major complaints. I mean, as of right now, I would have to give this easily, I'm going to say 4.5 stars simply for the tool rest part of it. I do wish that it had came with a larger tool rest. It does 18-inch pieces, so provide us with an 18-inch tool rest, or at least a 12-inch tool rest, to give us a little bit more room. A nice 12-inch tool rest would have been great to go with this. I could have put in 2 of them, but so far I have no major complaints on this. So you know what? Let's bring this on to round and see what we can make really fast. Okay, so I've got this to round, got a little rough shape going to it now. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn a tenon on this very end here next to the end stock, to the tail stock rather. And we're going to turn a tenon, and we're going to attach our mini chuck and try it out, see how it works. So here we go. All right, so I have measured my chuck, the max width that will go, and then came down just a little bit so that I can have room to tighten up onto the tenon. and I've set my calipers for that and locked them in place. So now let's turn tenon. Let's see how this goes. For this, I'm going to be using my 1/2-inch skew and see what we can do. That is pretty close to the tenon size that we need for this piece. I am not sure about this. I may end up doing a faceplate instead because that's a pretty small tenon. Or I may actually come back and do a recess and do it the opposite way, where those jaws will open up and clamp inside rather than to the outside. So we'll see how it works out and see how it attaches, see how firm it feels, and I'll go from there as to whether or not I want to go with that or if I want to choose something different. So let's check it out. Okay, so the chuck connection did not work out as I planned. Probably no fault of the tool, more likely a user error. I need to take a look at it and see. I don't think I have the jaws in there exactly right, so I want to take a look at it and see what's going on with that, because it doesn't want to hold in place once I start putting a cut to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm using my parting tool. I'm going to remove this tenon, and we're going to put the faceplate on it instead, because I've got enough material on this that I can waste enough material to see how the faceplate works out and go from there. So this is more a practice piece than anything, just to see how things are going. So let's get back to it. Let's remove this tenon, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I did not cut all the way through. Didn't want to cut all the way through with it set up the way that it is. Right now I'm just going to take a saw and do a quick cut to get that out of the way. And then we will set it up on the faceplate and go from there. So let's give it a quick cut. Okay, so we have it mounted now to our faceplate. We have trued it up once again, because once getting it mounted to the faceplate and it got out of round, so we treated it once again, brought it down. So now, once again, the test of equipment and faith. Let's back the tailstock off, do a little bit of work on the face of this, and then we will come back and we will remove part of the material here as much as we can, and then part it off the rest of it over the saw. So here we go. Much better with the faceplate on there. I'm going to clean up the top edge of this just a little bit, and then we're going to come back. We're going to attach probably a Forstner bit, drill a hole down the center, and go from there. See what it turns out to be. Here we go. Okay, so I opted to go with this drill bit instead. I believe this is a 1/2 inch versus doing a Forstner bit because the smallest Forstner bit I have is going to be just too big of a hole for what I'm wanting this to be. This is going to be like a twig pot, a little small one. I don't need to go very deep on this, just deep enough for the stems to go in, and that's about it. And then we're going to come back and we're going to cut this off. So let's get the lathe turned on. And we're going to start moving the drill bit in slowly. Okay, so we have went in about that far. I'm actually going to take it in just a tad bit further, just to get a little bit of depth there so that we can have the stems to fit in pretty well. So we're going to pull this back up, lock it in, and just a little bit more. This is working a lot better than trying to drill this by hand and without having to set up the drill press and do a lot on the drill press. And that is about as deep as I want to take that. That did really well. So I am impressed with that. I'm going to use the knockout tool right here to knock the chuck back loose. And now this is about how deep we are into this little twig vase, little twig pot. Now I'm going to bring I think I'm going to use my 1/4 inch gouge again. I'm going to come back around here. I'm going to clean this up just a little bit around the face right here. No, actually, I think I'm going to use my 1/2 inch skew. All right, here we go. Alright, now time for a little bit of sanding. We'll put an oil-based finish on this. Maybe spray a little bit of lacquer on it. But first thing I'm going to do is put an oil-based finish, sand it, put an oil-based finish on it, and then part it off, and we'll be ready to go. So here we go. So I'm going to do a 60 grit and then move up to a 220 grit to get this finished. Now this is what I'm going to do, guys. You've seen the sanding before in the other videos. We're not going to bore you out with sanding, so we're going to skip that part. We'll come in right at the end of the sanding, put a finish on it, and move from there. All right. Oh, I love the way this piece turned out. It's been a practice piece. I really love it. I'm going to take a piece of shop towel, paper towel, wipe off some of the excess dust from what we sanded, and then let's give it a quick polishing and part it off. Okay, so we were running at 1600 RPM throughout this entire video. Now I have turned it down to the slowest setting, which is 750 RPMs. So we are going to run it now on the slowest setting and put a polish on this. And I'm going to use Butcher Block Conditioner, which is food grade mineral oil and natural waxes. Now it doesn't have to be this. I just like the way the finish looks on this. So let's go ahead. First off, I'm going to turn the lathe off. And I'm going to apply a generous amount on here. Just go ahead and start to wipe that in. And you can already see the difference in this. Now we're going to get a close-up on this so you can really see it. Now you can see this has a really good finish already coming onto it. I'm just going to do this first. I'm going to wipe this on generously, turn it by hand over here. Want to get up inside here as well. And now I'm going to turn the lathe on and give it a good buffing. We'll go ahead and add some more on here. And we're just going to get a little bit of a friction going here and get that polished in there really well. All right, let's turn it off and see what it looks like. Oh yeah, that brought out the natural wood colors very nicely on this. And you know what? I think we're going to go ahead and add one more coat to this. Turn the lathe back on. Oh yeah, very, very nice. I really love the way this piece turned out. And now I'm going to bring my tool rest back over. Bring that down to about halfway. Tool rest in, lock it down, and I'm going to grab my parting tool and see if we can do this on this speed. If not, I may have to raise the speed back up. Let's see how well it does at this speed. Now, as I'm going in, I'm kind of going inward towards, kind of concaving the center part of this so that we can get a good level sitting surface. And there we go. Not a bad little piece, just for a practice piece, and I like the finish on it. Here's the inside, kind of concaved out. Stick some artificial plants in this and makes a nice little tabletop or desktop vase. Just to sit there, we'll get some pictures of it and get that at the end of the video. So I hope you enjoy this. We're going to give my review on this lathe very shortly. So stay tuned for part 3, which is going to be the review. Part 2 was the operation and everything. I really like the way that it worked. We're going to save the full breakdown of it as far as liking it, disliking it, what my final thoughts are on it in part 3, so stay tuned for that. Until next time, though, remember to always be creative, stay crafty, because, hey, I know I would.